Based on an old and fully debunked by numerous other prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest. Take our nation back. Now, this case centers around a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels on the eve of the 2016 presidential election. President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, you see in the middle there, pleaded guilty to his role in that payment in 2018. He claims it was meant to keep Daniels quiet about an alleged affair that Trump denies. Federal prosecutors have claimed the former president and his business reimbursed Cohen for that payment. Now, of course, Trump is a leading contender in the presidential race, the front runner in the Republican primary. He claims this is yet another politically motivated attack to prevent him from running in 2024. Listen here.
Whether it's the Mar-a-Lago raid or the Unselect Committee hoax, the perfect Georgia phone call, it was absolutely perfect, or the Stormy Horseface Daniels extortion plot. They're all sick, and it's fake news.
So, Neil, regarding Tuesday's potential arrest and the expected indictment, Trump could be charged with falsifying business records for reimbursing Cohen under the guise of legal expenses. But to make that crime a felony, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's prosecutors will have to prove that Trump did that to conceal another crime, which in this case may be an improper donation to his 2016 campaign in violation of state election law. Fox News reached out to the Manhattan DA's office for comment, something they declined. We do know the DA's office reached out to law enforcement about security plans surrounding the courthouse this week. We'll send it back to you, Neil.
All right, Nate, thank you for all of that, Nate.
Yeah, so here's some extra detail on what's going on here. First of all, you could actually look on YouTube. You type into YouTube, Meet Kevin, Donald Trump, Georgia phone call. I cover the entire phone call. That phone call, and I'm not taking sides here, I'm just saying as neutral as possible, was not a good phone call. It was not a good look. It was not a perfect phone call. It was bad. It was basically Trump going, come on, man. What can we do to find 12,000 votes? It's not good. That's not perfect. Okay, anyway, so let me give you some detail about what's going on here. So basically, here's what's going on. While Donald Trump has not been arrested yet, he's now confirming that, yes, he is expected to be arrested on Tuesday in connection with this Manhattan probe. And it's really sparking concerns that we're going to see massive, potentially MAGA protests on Tuesday, much in a similar manner of maybe a Jan 6, which Tuesday the 1st is literally just 1 day prior to the Federal Reserve potentially crashing the economy on the 22nd, Wednesday, when they have their FOMC meeting. That's going to be a complete disaster. And it's also the 22nd, the day the coupon for the programs of Building Your Wealth expires. It's going to be a crazy week. I'll be live probably all day because I can guarantee one thing, it is going to be entertaining as hell. Now, let's discuss some of the insight into this. So this arrest is believed to be related to, well, it is related to Manhattan District Attorney, the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation into these hush money payments that were made to Stormy Daniels in 2016. The hush money in question is basically $130,000, which Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, had admitted to paying Daniels, potentially to keep her quiet about an alleged affair with Trump. Now, Donald Trump has denied the affair and accuses Daniels of extortion. In 2018, Mr. Cohen was charged in connection with these payments to Daniels, but Trump did not face charges for his election or his involvement in 2018. The reason for the delay in pursuing Donald Trump at this point potentially has to do with the tax fraud investigation for Donald Trump. This is where Donald Trump faced about $1.6 million in penalties because of the result of a tax fraud investigation involving the Trump Organization. Now that that tax fraud investigation is complete in New York, the New York Department of Justice and the prosecutors essentially are arguing they have enough resources now to investigate this current case, this hush money case, because the tax case is closed. So it's kind of like they're doing one case at a time rather than working on them at the same time. Now remember, in 2018, Michael Cohen pleaded guilty, stating that he worked in coordination with Trump to silence Daniels. Although the Justice Department bars federal prosecutors from charging a sitting president with a crime, since Donald Trump hasn't been pursued while he was in office and is now being pursued, this is basically a skeleton that's popping up to haunt him now. Obviously, you saw Donald Trump's response to this, and as well, I mean, I don't need to reiterate some of the comments he made about Stormy Daniels. But anyway, Trump has also criticized Michael Cohen, which is sort of a way of him separating himself from Cohen, and ultimately describes the cases against him as a weaponization of the judicial system to try to prevent Donald Trump from running for president in 2024. Now, which he's already announced. Now, Manhattan District Attorney General Alvin Bragg is the guy leading this investigation. He has a history of focusing on cases obviously involving criminal justice reform, but also civil rights. And it all started with his idea, and this is very questionable, but it started with his day one memo, where he outlined a list of crimes that they will not prosecute in New York, such as marijuana possession, fare evasion, trespassing, and even prostitution. In other words, New York is willing to turn a blind eye if you just hop the subway fare turnstile because we don't want to keep punishing criminals. This sounds very similar to the kind of nonsense that's happening in San Francisco, where San Francisco is essentially the car break-in capital of the world, and law enforcement essentially do nothing. Even Elon Musk on Twitter questions, are the police even allowed to enforce the law in San Francisco? Anyway, the shift in focus from Trump's alleged practice of overvaluing assets for his real estate properties to prop up his net worth, to prop up his ability to get financing or win deals, has led to massive investigations in New York. But that shift is now moving over to this hush money issue and potential campaign donation issues. The tax fraud case, which again recently concluded, had to do with a 15-year potential scheme of avoiding paying taxes on the valuations of certain properties, but potentially also had to do with employee benefits, like giving employees fancy cars, apartments, or paying for their schools, and then not having the employees pay income taxes on those. So those are deemed to be... There are a lot of things at play here, right? There's the hush money payment, there's the overvaluing of assets, then there's the potentially overpaying employees without paying income taxes on those. There's a lot of this. This is the next phase in all of this. And the trial's end in that tax fraud case really now is allowing this potential indictment, which is looming for March 22nd. And you saw Donald Trump himself now saying he's talking about, yep, gonna be arrested on March 22nd. At the same time now, the Secret Service and FBI are already conducting security sweeps in anticipation of what is expected to be a pretty dramatic Tuesday. That is March the 22nd. Let me make sure. March 22nd, 2023. Is that Wednesday or Tuesday? That's Wednesday, sorry. To Wednesday. So Wednesday is the big day. But anyway, they're also trying to evaluate how are they going to arrest Donald Trump? Do they handcuff him? I mean, technically, to be arrested just means you're not free to leave, right? A detainment. You don't technically need to wear handcuffs, but politically, seeing Donald Trump in handcuffs would be a field day for Democrats. So you could bet Democrats are calling for the field day of handcuffs and the media spectacle. On the flip side, no handcuffs would potentially be seen as respectful to a former president, which of course people who don't like Donald Trump are like, he deserves no respect. But it's very interesting. What implications does this also have for our international community to see a former president in handcuffs? But anyway, if Trump is indicted, he would be required to go through the standard legal booking process. That means being processed. That means mugshot, fingerprints, processing. Then you get indicted, which it's important to know what an indictment actually is. An indictment is simply the presentation of charges. You stand before a judge, and a judge reads out, Donald Trump, blah, blah, blah. You are being indicted for the following alleged claims. Count 1, fraud. Count 2, this, that, and the other, tax, whatever it is, right? Those are the things that Donald Trump would be indicted under. Now, this does not actually mean that Donald Trump would end up being in jail. That's because Donald Trump could, via the discretion of the judge, be released on his own recognizance, ROR, and the idea of that is, hey, as basically you post bail, you'll get released, and you need to show up to court. So I've merged two things here. I'm skipping over some details here. ROR doesn't generally require a bail payment. Bail is you promising to come back to court. Both of these are a promise to come back to court. Sorry, I'm kind of glossing over that a little bit because I don't think that so terribly matters. The point is, Donald Trump probably will not be in jail because jail is where you go when you're being held for a court case. And jail is where you go after you are punished and your sentence is less than a year. Prison is where you go when your sentence is more than a year. Just to give you a little bit of a detail on that. But clearly, we would expect some form of massive political and protest fallout from this drama. Now, let's take a brief listen over here just to see what some of this commentary is.
Who had really just kind of put out the rumors. The former president trying to take the offense on this, say it's going to happen, it's unfair. It's a witch hunt, but it's on for Tuesday. We'll see in Lower Manhattan. All right, in the meantime here, the latest...
Yeah, okay, no more contents. In other words, basically, yes, the 22nd is when the charges are expected. He said Tuesday, too. Is everybody messing up on the dates here, or is it going to be Tuesday? Are they moving it to the 21st? Now I'm very curious. Did I get the date right? Because I'm pretty sure they said the 22nd, but let's see here. Oh, no, Tuesday. Okay, all right. Well, let me clarify that. Okay, well, that gives us two fantastic days here. So apparently it's the 21st for the Trump arrest. So I want to be very clear about that. The 21st for the Trump arrest, and then the next day is the Fed meeting on the 22nd, and that's also where that coupon expiration sits. Okay, thank goodness. Separate days. So it's going to be a very entertaining week.